So I think we're ready with Bill, and we'll get to your calls later. A little later. Be patient, callers. 888-7753-773. 888-77 Jesse. Bill Lockwood is one of the smartest white men on this side of heaven, especially when it comes to the Constitution. It's amazing. He's a friend, longtime friend now. Bill Lockwood is a writer, radio host at American Liberty with Bill Lockwood. He's also a teacher at Wichita Falls, Texas, preacher at Our Park Church of Christ. Busy man. And he is here last Tuesday of every month. Bill, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jesse. How are you today?
All is well, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great, considering the circumstances of our nation.
That's right. What a mess, huh?
Boy, it's a terrible mess. It's just as Isaiah said, from the crown of the head to the sole of the foot, there's no soundness in it, but wounds and bleeding sores.
I'm telling you, what is and now that how do you see the world and what's happening in America, at least? How do you see we're so divided? It's just a mess. How do you see what caused it, and how can we overcome it?
Well, the ultimate cause, of course, is Satan, and we have Marxism that is marching forward, and as you know, Karl Marx was a rabid anti-God hater, and believed in the materialistic concept of man. So Marxist views, which is socialism, and that's exactly what he called it, socialism, has been taking over America, but it has cloaked itself in robes of righteousness in some senses by acting like, well, if you want to be taking care of people, then you have to be a socialist. You have to support the government transfer of wealth from one class of people to another. But the real problem here is, though, that we are facing the same thing that our forefathers faced, that people throughout centuries have faced, and that is that we have a government that is now totalitarian in its origin, in its nature. The very core of it is totalitarian, and they're seeking to silence those on the right, and they're doing so, and they're promising re-education camps and reinstitutions for us. And you know what? It's a pretty frightening situation, because our founding fathers said from the very beginning, our freedoms are based upon God and biblical principles. But those biblical principles we have thrown out the window for the last 100 years, and now we're about to reap the whirlwind.
When Joe Biden said, and I didn't listen to any of his inauguration speech at all. I didn't watch the thing at all, but I've seen soundbites. When he pretended to be that he would unify the country, did you hear him say that, and did you believe it?
I did not watch the inauguration.
Me either.
I was too depressed about it. But I've heard him say that. No, the Democrats never mean that. When they talk about unity, they mean conformity. They have no intention of unity at all. They mean conformity, and we're seeing it playing out right in front of our eyes. They're shutting down. They shut down the president of the United States at that time, Donald Trump. They shut his accounts down. Could not speak. Big Tech did so with the full support of the Democrat Party. That is not unity, that is conformity, and it means, of course, the silencing of those who oppose them.
A lot of people, and I hear it every day, are feeling helpless now, and they are afraid, especially white people. They are afraid, they feel helpless, and especially whites, those who have not given in to the Democrat. They feel afraid. What would you say to those people?
Well, you know what? A lot of Christian people have faced much more strenuous times in the past, and not to say that it won't get worse, because I believe it is going to. I believe it's going to get much worse. However, people of God throughout history have always flourished when the civil government has become oppressive to them. And so I'm hoping that people will turn their attention more to God, the Lord's church, and to be faithful to Christ instead of being so involved in sports and entertainment and fun and games and hobbies that are just that take us away from God. But we have not put our attention and our focus of our time upon the Lord's church as we should have done. And we need to be more about that. Bible reading, I bet there are a lot of Christians who have not been very faithful Bible readers, but they'll watch every football game they can. They'll they wear the colors of the favorite football team. They'll talk football in the church foyer. They'll talk football after church, and everything's football or baseball or wrestling, and it doesn't matter. We've been an entertainment-oriented society, and maybe we should refocus our own thoughts and energies.
My theme this year is to bring back Christianity, to love God with all our heart, soul, and might, and our neighbor as ourselves. And you're right about that. It's been more of a focus on fun and games while people not realizing that Christianity is being taken away from us in this country. And they've done it by destroying their homes, weakening the men, not allowed to speak about God in the schools and the community and the public square. And they've been doing that for years. And we kind of knew it, but for some reason, the Christians in a Christian country, Judeo-Christian country, allowed it to happen. We knew that it was destroying the idea of God, but we allowed it to happen.
Well, you know what, Jesse? I heard a preacher say, I'm not into the I told you so, but he says, I told you so. And that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Conservative Christians who have been conservative Americans for as long as I can remember, going back 2 generations previous to myself, have been warning that America has been on the track for globalism, a globalist government, which is a socialist, anti-God move. And it has infiltrated so heavily into particularly the Democrat Party and also a lot of Republicans. And we have been warning on this for a long time. My parents before me and my grandparents before them making warnings on this, and we had people have been just poo-pooing it. Say, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist, and this is all, everything's going to be doom and gloom. If they just thought the whole thing was too fabulous, too much. Okay, we don't want to talk about those things. Let's go talk about football, and that we'll just vote for these people and put them in office, and regardless of what they stand for, regardless of the associations and the organizations to which they are attached. But there's a line in the movie called The Patriot. Mel Gibson's The Patriot. At the very first of the movie, I don't know if you remember the movie, but he goes to his box and he says, "I've always worried that my sins," I can't remember exactly his wording, "my sins would find me out, that I would pay for my crimes of my earlier years." In truth, America has been led by globalists who have been pro-communist, pro-totalitarian since the time of Woodrow Wilson. And we have supported the communists all over the globe. Communism has marched forward and murdered all kinds of people, and we've supported it. The mullahs have done so also. Jimmy Carter supported the turning over of Iran to the mullahs of the Islamic religion. And, those peoples have suffered because of that. And I worry perhaps that America is going to pay for some of the crimes that we have not paid attention to what really has been going on and what our leaders have been doing in treachery across the globe. And perhaps maybe some of this is coming back to us. Now, I don't know that that's the case. I'm not a prophet of God. I'm not inspired. But this is what's been happening. And perhaps we're going to face some of the music now.
I've noticed that the liberal media, the Democrats, and the right-wing Republicans and others, they're saying it out loud. We want to re-educate the people We want to.
Yes.
They're trying to shut down the First Amendment. No right to speak. They are calling white people radicals and white stupid stuff. Right? They're saying this stuff out loud as though the people don't hear them. They're so radical with it. And there are people in my family and other places that believe the Democratic Party as strongly as we believe Donald Trump. And you can't convince them that they're wrong, and they can't convince us that we're wrong. How do you change that? If they're so convinced, like when I talk to my blood family members, they're like, Donald Trump was a liar. Donald Trump was a cheater. Donald Trump this. And I'm like, well, how do you know that? Where do you get that information from? And they're just repeating what they've been hearing in the news, liberal press for the last 4 years or so. So they're convinced about it. Donald Trump hates black people. And it's just not true. On our side, we know that he doesn't hate black people. He doesn't hate anyone. How do you convince one side that they're wrong?
Well, once again, I don't like to say I told you so, but we told you so. The mainstream media has for several generations been wholly on board with supporting communism around the world and has supported that through the New York Times, for example. You realize that even Cuba was taken over by Fidel Castro, the communist, by help of the New York Times and the propaganda that they put out in America. So number one, we have not realized that the mainstream media has been propagandizing people for several generations. Number one. Number two, I would say all we have to do is take it away from the personalities, look at the party platforms. How can anyone who even has an inkling of what the Bible teaches support that which is written right in the Democratic Party platform? Abortion on demand, demanded to be paid for by you, the taxpayer, at any stage in a feed is take that life. The first time in history that marriage has been reworked and has been thrown out the window, that is, the Genesis account of marriage has been repudiated, and we have installed instead homosexuality as a legitimate marriage. That is the Democratic Party platform. How can someone support that? That to me is, I don't understand how that can be, but they want to take it to these personalities. Well, Trump did this and so forth. Well, you know what? It's what are the party platforms? What are they about?
Yeah.
And which one more aligns with what the Bible actually teaches? I challenge anybody to tell me to defend the Democratic Party platform on a biblical ground. Well, just what would it be? Well, that's where the issue is then.
But I don't think that the people even read the platform, or they don't pay attention to the platform. Now the Democrats are talking about there's no such thing as gender, I guess, something stupid like that. And so what Biden want to do is Biden want to let drag queens and anyone into the military. They want to allow boys to participate in the girls' sports because they want to reassign something like reassign the gender. There's no male or no female, something like that.
Yeah.
But what I don't get, and then they got drag queens in government now. You know that it's a man in a dress or a woman in a man suit. But what I don't understand, why do the Democrat voters not say, well, there's something wrong with that, something that's so apparent. Boys and girls should not compete against each other, and you shouldn't have men and women in our military with confused minds like that. Why don't the voters say, no, what? Wait, this is going too far, this is wrong, without anyone having to tell them that that's wrong?
You know what, Jesse, and this may be too much of a broad accusation. However, too many American people have been all about just the fluff and the cream on top of the pie, the meringue, and that's all they're about, the meringue. So even back when John Kennedy, for example, debated Richard Nixon on television, the big deal was that John Kennedy looked better, he was a more handsome man, and that kind of thing. Well, if that's what we're going to be, that's how we're going to base our political ideals on, then there's no hope. There is no hope. If people are not willing to look at what are the principles that this candidate actually stands for, if they don't want to do that, then I can't help them. I would say, go to the ball game and have a good time, and they'll be able to argue with you all about the players on every team and tell you all their stats and where they went to college and everything, but they can't tell you what a political candidate actually stands for.
Yeah.
That to me is atrocious. Now, I don't know how to help them if they're unwilling to look at what do the candidates actually stand upon as principles. Who is it that supplies them money? Who is it that supports them? We don't have any clues. To what organizations are they attached? What do these organizations stand for? If I was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, well, very well, everybody in the country would know it.
Yeah.
They would know all about it because they would, okay, he's a part of this, and they'll have nothing to do with me, which would be right, but nevertheless, that would be the right treatment. But there'll be about that one, but we can't see, he's a member on the Council on Foreign Relations, this coterie of globalists who want a global government. Or he's a member of the Bilderberg Organization, or George Soros supports him with money. We can't see that. We just so what's happening here is we're too thin in our thinking, and we need to look at the issues and disassociate ourselves from, I don't like the way Trump, I don't like his tan.
Yeah.
I don't like the way he has his hair. Okay, I think he lies. Well, someone told me, what lie did he tell? Well, I just heard he tells all these lies,
It's crazy.
We can't even get back to the issue. Yeah.
This morning, I heard, I believe it's on Fox somewhere, that how President Trump opened up the oil drilling thing again with the Keystone, it's called Keystone Pipeline? Yeah. Keystone Pipeline, right? Keystone Pipeline. And so he put people back to work. And one of the first things that Joe Biden did was close the pipeline down again, and a lot of people out of work now. But I heard that the unions that supported Joe Biden are now complaining about that. And I'm like, what the?
He said he was going to do it.
Right.
He's been talking about it from day one. The Democratic Party hates American oil independence. They don't want us to be energy independent. Yep. The Democratic Party has hated that. They want to be globalist. They want us to be dependent upon foreign oil. They want to be hooked into the world all over so that we're not independent. And that's what they're about. Now they're crying. I'm having a hard time feeling sorry for people who say, well, what's going on here? Well, that's what they said they're going to do.
If you hear Joe
Biden,
if you hear Joe Biden saying the whole time, I'm going to shut down the oil wells when I get in, why would you support that? And as soon as he gets in, now you're out of work and now you're complaining. It doesn't make sense. Another thing I noticed too.
That's right.
Another thing I noticed is that this time around, and you can correct me on this, Bill, a lot of women are involved in government, and most of the time, not all, but most women are not logical thinkers. And I'm concerned that now that all these women are getting in government, and especially these black radical and white radical women, isn't that going to take the country down even faster?
Well, you know what, that is the case. You know what, I'm reminded of the statement of Proverbs, that hell has no fury like a woman scorned.
Yes.
And, there is some truth to that in the sense that, even in the Lord's church, God put men to be leaders. Yeah. But that is so politically incorrect. Men are to be the elders and leaders in the church. Men are to do the public speaking. That we just don't even pay attention to that. That is so politically unpopular that people just ignore that. And the churches themselves are capitulating and collapsing and saying, well, we have to have women more in the leadership positions. we're not going to, we have no backbone, apparently, that even in the churches, men are to be leading.
Yeah.
So the real question is, where are godly men leading? That's the real issue in our country. And I think that we have a complete collapse of strong male leadership.
Absolutely.
I believe that's right.
Absolutely. Even the stupid men in the Republican Party, some of them, were applauding the idea that they got so many women in this time, all these women in Congress and whatever they are. And I was like, that's dumb. Yeah. That's not something you should be happy about. Look at Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney turned on President Trump. I mean, she should not be in government. Yeah. That woman needs to go sit down somewhere.
You know what? We're too busy about doing the same thing the Democrats do, and that's checking the boxes. So, okay, President Biden put in the transgender woman to a man or something like that. So check that box. We got that one taken care of. We got that covered. We need some homosexuals in here. Check that box. And we got to have a lot of women here. First woman here. Check that box. We are not examining the real issues of the day, just like we don't look at party platforms. We don't look at the real fiber of a person's character. Who is the best qualified? How should they, where do they stand? What kind of leadership do they have? And no, we're about, okay, what skin color are they? What sex are they? What orientation do they have? And we got to be making everybody happy on that one. See, that's not leadership. That's not leadership.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed is that all summer, maybe all year, but I know all summer, we've been under a terrorist attack by the radical, hateful, evil group, Black Lives Matter, who works in the KKK, and this Antifa radical stuff. They've been burning, robbing, stealing, and killing all summer, and I think all year, but definitely all summer. And no one said anything. They made the cops bow down to them, and there were white churches, at least one, washing their feet, kissing their feet, and carrying on. And then as soon as this ambush happened, where some what seemed to be some of Trump's supporters went into the Capitol, all of a sudden there's major attention to that. Everybody's afraid. I was hiding under my desk. I was just so scared. They bring in the military. They shut down the state with the military. And so when I talk to my family members and others, they're like, what about those racist white people that broke into the Capitol? I'm like, what about it? That was white supremacy and all that kind of crap. And so I'm like, did you feel the same way about Black Lives Matter and Antifa? They shut down and act like that never happened. It's like their overreaction to one is horrible, but their overreaction to the other one is nothing. They act like it never happened.
You know what? The breaking into the Capitol, no matter who is involved, Trump supporters or whatever, is reprehensible. No one ought to do that. However, what's happening is exactly as you say. We ignore the Black Lives Matter. If that's white supremacy, what is Black Lives Matter? That's black supremacy. That's what that is then. And furthermore, the entire message of surrounding Washington, D.C. with 30,000 troops is a message loud and clear. And that is, we'll let the Black Lives Matter burn down our cities and our police stations and our places of businesses and our homes and murder people on the streets as we've watched all the last several years. But if there's a conservative that wants to stand up and do anything, and if you even get a little bit out of line, then we have the full force of the military going to smash down on you. It's a message loud and clear to the conservatives of America.
Yeah.
Not that it's breaking in, but nevertheless,
Let me take a quick break, Bill. When I come back, I want you to tell the folks how to get your show, your books, and all your good stuff. I got to take a quick break. Back in a moment. And some of your phone calls for Bill as well. Back in a moment. All right. Are we ready? Yeah. So I'm talking to Bill Lockwood. I just been informed that his battery is down to 3% or something, Bill? I can't hear you.
I don't have my cord with me today.
Repeat what you said, Bill. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm down to 3%. And I don't have my cord with me today, so I apologize about that.
Oh,
My
okay.
power cord.
Well, how long does 3% last?
We'll find out.
So, how can people get to your radio show, your website, and all the good stuff?
All right, thank you, Jesse. Well, the radio show is on YouTube. It's American Liberty with Bill Lockwood. That's a YouTube channel. And also have a YouTube channel called Writing for the Bible Brand. It's only about an 8-minute Bible lesson. I do it on horseback and make application to what's going on in our country today. Of course, the radio show is out of Wichita Falls, and I also have a website. It's AmericanLibertyWithBillLockwood.com, and you can pick up the radio shows there. Or in the Wichita Falls area, or West Texas, Lubbock, Abilene, it's also on the radio there, News Talk 1290 in Wichita Falls. So at any rate, the website and the YouTube channels is a place to go.
Oh, okay. Let's see if we can squeeze in at least one call here. I have several calls for you, but let's go to a first-time caller out of Alabama, Nick. Nick, you're on with Bill Lockwood.
Good morning, Bill.
Hey, Nick,
Hello?
how are you?
Pretty good. Good morning, Bill
Hello,
and Jesse. Hey, I'm admirers of both of y'all. This is my first time seeing you, Bill. So from just watching and listening to you, I can relate. And Jesse, I watched yesterday. I had my wife and me. We watched the show of you in 1990 with a lady, Shahrazad Ali.
Right.
Yeah. So, you two men, you guys are proven. You guys have a lot of history. I think that my question to both of you guys is basically what you guys were talking about. Do you guys think that the country is going to turn back around on our side because of all of the foolishness that's been going on for generations?
Do you think America would turn back around, Bill?
Well, I'll say this, Nick. I pray that it does. I pray that it will, but there has to be a turning of the hearts of the people back to God in order for it to occur.
Yeah.
I'm afraid also at this point that otherwise we're too far gone unless we have just general repentance, Nick. That's my view.
And I believe that we will turn back around, Nick, because there are men and women returning to the Father now. And I don't think that's by chance. I think God is still with us. I know he's still with us. And this is like a serious wake-up call because the Democrats hate the president so much, they're going to take the joke too far that it will scare people back to God, to be honest with you.
Yes, and one more thing. I would like to say that my version of if it turned around is just like what you two gentlemen said. We have to get the message out there. We have to start being truthful with people, even if they're mad. We got to get past that because I've been through it with my family too.
Yeah.
Like I'm always talking to my mom about this. She constantly watches TV, and the first thing that I did, Jesse and Bill, I started researching. I started watching you, Jesse. I started watching Denise DeSouza, and I started reading books. And I turned the news off, completely off. So one other thing, we got to stop listening to all these race pimps. They're killing our society.
Yep, absolutely.
But thank y'all for listening to me.
All right, thank you, Nick. Appreciate your call.
Okay.
Is Bill gone now?
Yeah.
What the? So Bill is gone now, folks. His battery thing died. He ran out of dots. Am I saying all that right?
No.
Yep.
What happened?
You said it right. His battery ran out.
His battery ran out.
Simple as that.
But check him out. So you can get Bill Lockwood YouTube channel at American Liberty with Bill Lockwood and Writing for the Bible brand. Find him at American Liberty with Bill Lockwood.com. So Bill is gone. His battery died. Amazing. I understand it. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.